Welcome back to the Daily Move. Today we're talking all about the spine. It's super important for our spine to feel healthy and mobile. The better our back feels, the better most of our body is going to feel. All you're going to need today is a rolled up towel and some space. You can also use a foam roller for this. So today we're going to start by standing. Tucking the chin down, letting the back of the spine reach towards the ceiling as you start slowly curling down towards the floor. Once you get towards your ankles, grab the back of your ankles and give it a little bit of a pull. Slowly come back up. When you reach the top, you're going to go into a slight little back arch, whatever feels good. Starting this again, tuck the chin. Bring where the ponytail is up towards the ceiling. Start curling vertebrae by vertebrae down towards the ground. Once you hit towards the ankle, grab onto the ankle and give it a little bit of a tug. Going back into that extension. See if you can get back further. We're going to go through this cycle between 3 to 4 times. Nice and slow, tucking that chin. You want to create that flexion vertebrae by vertebrae till you hit the ground. Small little tug. Once you finish your 3rd or 4th rep, you're going to hang down in that flexion and just swing those arms going side by side, whatever feels good. So next we're going to do some spinal rotation and get the arms involved. You want to start with a T position, and what you're going to do is take one arm, pull it down as you rotate to face the back. Your legs are going to pivot with this motion as you start twisting, and you should feel this in the spine and in the shoulders. Next, we're going to head to the ground onto all fours, and we're going to start performing some cat-cows. So we're still working on that flexion extension of the spine. Tucking that chin, pressing your spine up towards the ceiling, and then sagging down, creating that extension, looking up towards the ceiling. Go at your own pace. Sometimes it feels good to go fast. Sometimes it feels good to go slow. We're going to repeat this cat-cow now into a deep child's pose position where we bring our hips back onto our heels. And what this is going to do is get the motion into the upper back instead of just in our lumbar spine. Once you feel good with that, you're going to grab either your foam roller or your rolled up towel, and you're aiming to place this right behind the shoulder blades, so right underneath it. For females, that's kind of where the bra strap is. What you're going to do here is you're going to keep your core nice and tight here, and you're going to slowly sink over top of this roll. This is one area that gets really stuck on people, especially if we're typing or when we're reading, or in this case, puzzling or coloring, especially when we're in quarantine. We're going to do 3 very slow lowers here. You want to keep your abs contracted, keeping the ribs down, and then slowly melting over top. Really taking your time here. That's what's going to allow that area to open up. After you've done 3 repetitions, you're going to lift up the hips and now let the head and upper back go to the ground. And now it's a chance to allow our hips now to do the work, sinking over that roll. Again, lowering it very slowly so that our upper back can adjust to that. Once you've done 3 of those, we're going to butterfly the arms so that the elbows come and kiss in the middle towards our nose. And then we're going to do a cactus overhead press with the arms. You're going to repeat this 3 times. And then use one of your legs into your chest to come on up, or you can just simply roll to the side. Now we're going to do slow lowers. So keeping your knees bent, you're trying to get 1 vertebrae at a time to touch the ground and slowly lower yourself down. So now you're going to hug your knees, and we're going to go into this flexion extension, very similar to the cat-cow, but now in a seated position here, really rounding that back. When you sit up, you really want to squeeze into that knee, going into a little bit of extension. So next we're going to go into a modified 90-90 position with the legs here. And what we're doing here is the leg that is behind, so the one that's a further back, you're trying to push your hip bone towards the other leg and then the knee into the ground to feel a little stretch into that quad there. Just kind of wiggling around. Again, your legs don't have to be at a perfect 90-90. We're just trying to get that quad stretched out here. So whatever you need to do to get that stretch. And just opening up the hips a little bit here with that motion. So I'm just grabbing something here for a little bit more cushion underneath my knee. And next we're going to go into the 3-point hip flexor stretch. So the first one is straight out. The second one's on a 45. And then the third is on a 90-degree angle here. So there's a little bit of improv here. You can kind of wiggle the hips around, wiggle where the knee position is. Just kind of feel where those tight spots are so that we can start loosening that up. We're going to do this sequence 3 times before switching the sides. So I'm switching sides here now. Doing the same thing. First going forward, kind of exploring where does it feel tight there. Then going on a 45 and then finishing out at 90 degrees here. You're going to feel this on the adductor on the leg that the knee is on the ground. So once you've done that 3 times, you're going to go into half kneeling stance where one leg is up, the other one is down, you're on one knee. The knee that's on the ground, you're going to place the same hand next to it, and then you're going to push your hips towards the leg that's up like a lunge. You're then going to take the same arm as the lunge one, and you're going to start moving it in any way you feel like you need to in order to feel a stretch. You really need to push into that glute to anchor that hip down to feel a good stretch. So again, there's not much structure here. You're kind of trying to explore your own body on where those tight spots are. So feel free to go wild on figuring out how you need to anchor that hip and then reach. And then move that torso around to start feeling where those tight spots are. So next, same thing. What we're doing here is a kneeling spinal twist with a reach back. Now you can stay up onto your knees like I am here. You can also sit down onto your heels. You can even reach straight back like I'm doing right now. Or you can create more of a twist. Here what I do is I actually sit down onto my heels and then bend my arm to get down lower as I rainbow the other arm around. So working with your range, you're not trying to force anything. But be curious, go explore different ranges. How do you move in this position here? So next we're on to all fours here. We're going to take one leg and sweep it across. And you should be feeling it in the glute of the bent knee. It's kind of like a pigeon pose, just a little bit more modified. You're spending a few seconds on one side before switching sides. Again, you can stay as long as you need to on that one side and kind of moving the hips around to explore where those tight spots are. So next we're going to go back into that 90-90 position here. You're going to take that back leg, straighten it out to then swivel. So again, we're not going for a perfection, or we're not going for this standard 90-90 position. What we're trying to do here is just swivel open the hips, just trying to get them warmed up moving. And you'll notice when I stop, I kind of lean forward just to get a little bit more into that front hip there, especially with that external rotation. I find that it really opens up the glute with this. So this is a little bit of a faster motion here. And trying to swing those legs as you switch positions here. So now we're switching from that swivel into a windshield wiper, and I'm using my arms to support. As you lean back here, it becomes a lot easier to make this motion happen. If you want, you can also sit up nice and tall and lean forward. It will make it a little bit more difficult. So next we're going to go into a 90-90, and we're going to lift up using our glutes. So you're going to squeeze the glutes as you come up, and then you're going to sit back down. We're alternating sides here. So for this series, it's really important that we have some padding underneath our knees here, especially for the next move. Otherwise, it's going to hurt on a rubber floor or even on a kitchen floor. So what we're doing here is we're lifting up, and then we're pivoting the shin bone. You can kind of see it there. Going from side to side there, sitting back down. So take your time. This is a new motion for most of you. Now feel free to continue staying there, or you can combine the two. So I come up, I swivel my shin bones, I sit back down, and then I go into that 90-90 switch. Swivel, swivel, 90-90 switch. And again, we're trying to be gentle with our bodies. So if you're finding this is too rough on the knees, that's okay. Just don't do this exercise. So this next exercise here, we're going to do a roll back, and then we're going to do a figure 4 to a half kneeling stance here. Make sure to really tuck and round before you roll. And then you can play with how you get up. So change your foot position as you alternate sides here. You can go straight in front of you, getting a little bit more ankle motion. You can go closer towards your butt. You can reach in different ways, so you can go straight out in front of you or make it a 45-degree angle. Just play around with this. It's going to open up the hips differently. It's going to involve the knee a little bit differently each time. And you can also start opening up the ankles as well, especially if you're pushing that knee bone over top of it. For this one here, you can go slow or you can go fast. It's totally up to you on how your body feels. I really like this rolling motion onto the spine. It seems to just limber it up, get some good fluids running through that area. You can stop and pause at the top to really feel that ankle. Here I'm pushing onto my knee to feel a little bit more of a stretch into my hip. So next we're going to go into a butterfly pose here. So I've got the bottom of my feet, so the soles of my feet touching. And I'm pushing my knees down towards the floor. You can play with how close your heels are towards your body or away. It's going to change that stretch. So you can either stay here or you can cross your legs over and lean forward. I feel like I get a really good glute stretch here. And I'm going to do just a once over pass with this little rainbow stretch just to open up the back even further, and then I'm going to switch legs, same thing, just doing a single pass through this stretch. So next we're going to stand up, and we've got a wood chop motion here. So I've kind of got a lunge stance here, and basically you could envision pulling something from the top and then really slamming it to the ground. You're going to feel a good stretch here through the back. Now be mindful with this motion, you can injure your back doing this, but you want to go slow and in control and start moving the body there. You're switching sides now, grabbing something from the air and then dragging it down towards the ground. As you do that, you're going to bend into that lunge a little deeper. So this is a very active motion, so I'm really using my muscles and squeezing them to make this action happen. So next I'm going into a triangle pulse. So same arm as the leg that's out in front, I'm sliding it down, keeping the other arm up towards the ceiling. I'm only going to do that 3 times before switching to the other side. So you can, if you want, push into that front knee and twist a little bit further as you're pulsing up and down. My arms are bent here, and now I'm just twisting from side to side, allowing my foot to come off the ground to pivot. So next you're going to lay on your back, have your arms out like a T. You're going to bend one knee, pull it across your body, and then straighten out the knee to then kick the opposite hand. And it's okay if you can't kick your hand, that's just the motion that you're going towards. So next you're going to go onto your hands and knees here, and we're going to warm up the wrists and the shoulders. So what I'm doing here is I'm swiveling my elbow pit forward and backwards, creating a rotation at the shoulder joint. So you're going to do that a few times. Now just do some circles around the wrists. We just need to warm them up a little bit. And you can play with your palm position. So you can flip them over, whatever feels like it's tight and necessary to stretch out before you put some weight into your hands. Once that feels good, we're going to go into a lifted bear position where the knees are just hovering off the ground. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. We're going to do this 3 times. Now, once you've done that 3 times, we're going to do a marching. So we're going to lift up the knees, and then you're just going to bend one knee a little bit further so that one foot lifts off the ground. I did 5 aside here before switching sides. Or sorry, not switching sides, just shaking out the wrists and going back into it. You're alternating feet each time. So now we're going to go into a scorpion twist here. It's very important to go slow with this. What I like to do is lift the leg, twist over, plant the foot, allow that arm to pop up, but then I keep my foot on the ground until my hand reaches the ground. I find that way I get a really nice stretch. You can play with that other arm, really reaching back. Or you can be more conservative and do smaller rotations. Just listen to your body, see what it needs, what feels good. And we're just switching from side to side here. You can play with where you plant the foot as well. Different angles is going to allow for different stretch sensations in that spine. So next we have a variation of what you may call a skater. So instead of doing a skater, what we're actually going to do is create a spinal twist here and also a lateral jump, just working on the stability of that other leg. So what I'm doing here is I'm landing and I'm twisting to be able to touch the bottom of my shoe. In a second here, I'm going to show you a different variation here if you're finding the balance tricky. So if you're finding the balance tricky, you're going to step behind and then just reach across. So your choice and variation here. If you want to make it more difficult, you can create that hop, having to stabilize when you land, and then twist and find that other foot. If you want to make it easier, all you have to do is step behind and then make sure to swing that arm across to create that rotation in the spine. All right, you'll find that your heart rate goes up here. So I'm just taking a second here to shake out the arms and take a breath before going down on all fours again. So we're doing a spinal rotation variation of a bird dog. So what I'm doing here is I'm rotating my spine and then having my opposite leg bent into a little bit of a hip extension here. My head is going to help with this twist as I turn around. So you can do what I'm doing here where I'm staying on one side for 5 repetitions, or if you wish, you can alternate each time, switching sides, completely up to you. Now, if you want to, you can do what I'm doing here where I reach with my arm in front of my face before I pull, but the most important part here is that spinal rotation. So this is the start of our cool down. So grab either that rolled up towel or the foam roller. You're going to lie on your side, hugging it with your knee, and then you're going to open up your chest. And we're going to hang out here for 10 to 20 seconds, focusing into our breathing. And as you're filling up your entire rib cage, just feel it melt into the ground. If you're ready here, you can switch sides. Make sure to bring your support to the other side. So you're rolling on your side, top leg is hugging the foam roller or the towel. And then you're opening up your spine, opening up your chest to create a T with the arms. It's really important to breathe through this. Nice deep breaths. Your spine should be nice and warm here, so it should be easy to relax. It's completely okay to need to readjust here. Once you're done there, you're going to bring both knees into your chest, give it a hug. Now you can squeeze your legs as tight as you can and let them go, or what you can do is just rock them back and forth to get a little bit of a spinal massage, completely up to you. This last exercise that we're going to do here is you're going to cross one leg over the other, that figure 4 position. And you're going to drop the heel of the leg that's on top down towards the ground, pushing that knee outwards in order to feel a stretch into the glute, opening up the hips, and doing one last spinal twist here. Now feel free to stay on one side for 20 to 30 seconds, or you can alternate sides like I'm doing right now. This is our last exercise for today's series, so feel free to continue with this motion if you feel like you need to keep going. When your spine's feeling good, feel free to sit on up. And that's the end of our little spinal mobility session. Hopefully your spine's feeling great and you have a terrific day. Join me tomorrow for the next daily move. Take care, guys. Bye.